We are trying to have a living memorial, essentially, through the stories of plants. The selection really centers around what my ancestors would have utilized as a traditional technology. And that looks like what plants were fashioned into cordage, into rope, into spears, into hooks, and things that we would have utilized to maintain our way of life. There'll be plants like ocean spray, also known as ironwood here. Various cherry trees will be planted here. Those plants are going to help tell a story. And so when we get to know our place, where we are in this world, we have a better sense of connection to the land and a better respect for it.
As you move to the central zone of Waterfront Park, the planting selection starts to change. You'll start seeing planting species that were brought in from trade. So you'll see species from the Pacific Rim and also from the eastern US. And then as you move further along to the northern areas, you'll see gardens that are influenced by our topography. So kind of like the bluff to shore. So you'll see things that are very familiar in more the mountainous alpine areas, down into the meadows, into the shorelines. We also put in wet planters, and those collect the runoff from the promenade. We built 1.2 miles of protected bike lane. Starting from the south end, we connect to the Portside Trail. On the north end, we go as far to about Lenora Street. The City of Seattle Safety Project had a parallel project where they made the final connection from Earl Edward Park to where we are.
So excited to see this important piece of puzzle in place that allows people to move comfortably around Elliott Bay. You can now ride a bike without leaving a bike lane or shared path.
Now, bicyclists can travel or commute all the way from basically Ballard Magnolia on a bike path all the way to West Seattle. Throughout the waterfront program, we've used 3 types of wood. We've selected to use large timbers that have been salvaged and reclaimed from the old growth forest floors and lakes. And those are western red cedar, which is significant culturally for the tribes. So you'll see those large timbers used for benches along the promenade when you take a stop to take a break. The other wood we've used was reclaimed from the seawalls. We salvaged and stored eki wood. So the eki wood was on the seawall. It's one of the densest woods that we have. We used them on the pedestrian railing along the waterfront. And what's really special about the wood is you will see little holes and deformities in the wood as you walk along. And those are actually from the gribbos. These are like marine organisms that bore into the wood and feed on the wood. So that's been reclaimed and reused, and you'll see that. The other wood type that we used is machiche, and we've used that along the boardwalk as well as on the swings. And that wood is significant to Seattle's marine history, and it's a type of wood that's very dense and traditionally used in shipbuilding. All these wood elements really help soften the waterfront park. Obviously, we have a lot of pavement and concrete, so these elements are natural and just really humanize the space. We want to be sustainable, and we also want to be respectful to our resources. So whenever we could reclaim and reuse, we did. So that was the foresight of the seawall project when they were building that back in 2013 to 2017. They had the foresight, hey, this is very dense wood, we can reuse it again. So they spent the time to salvage it and store it. Obviously, as people visit Waterfront Park, what people maybe aren't as familiar with is all the projects that we did to reconnect the waterfront into the central business district and into the adjacent neighborhoods of Belltown, Pioneer Square, and all the way up to Capitol Hill. So we built 3 new pedestrian bridges We have the Marion Street Bridge that connects into the new Coleman Dock Ferry Terminal. We also have a new pedestrian bridge and elevator at Union Street to help people navigate, that 40-foot vertical distance to Western Avenue. And then kind of the crown jewel is the Overlook Walk, and that connects a 100-foot verticality that was never really quite well done or intuitive. A lot of people miss it. It's the ground plane. Intentionally, that's what it was meant to do, for people to miss it. The design behind it, though, is we have a small exposed aggregate paving, and as you move to where the sun is, it changes to large exposed aggregate. And there's a reason behind that. Where you have the large exposed aggregate is reflective of where the shoreline once was. If you look at this from 10,000 feet from above, it's inspired by those weaving patterns of the basket weave. The other thing, to weave that palette together, you have the glacial erratics. Those are the big boulders. They're erratic because they don't really have any defined shape. But the colors in those boulders, brownish orange and the grays and the blacks, kind of pose together this palette as well. These are things we don't notice. And because we don't notice, to me, it's successful.
Watch CityStream Tuesday nights at 7 on the Seattle channel, or find us anytime online at seattle.gov.